She taught her children how precious God is, how that when you die, you go to heaven and God will take care of you. So her children, even though they're sad, they're like, Mommy's in heaven. She's in heaven with Dream.
Jennifer has spent much of her time lately at church.
From the moment I walked into the sanctuary, I could feel her spirit.
And she's praying justice will be served.
Maya loved the Lord inside and out. Her faith was so strong that whatever's going to happen now, it's going to be all right.
What began as a night of celebration for Maya quickly descended into a heated exchange. July 28, 2023, North Charleston. The Bloom Room nightclub pulses with life. Neon lights flickering, music thumping through the walls. Inside, Maya Jennifer Simmons, a 30-year-old mother of 8, is glowing. She's just said yes to the love of her life. Her engagement ring sparkles as she laughs with friends, the weight of her struggles momentarily lifted. For once, the world feels hers, but outside, the summer air hums with something darker. A figure watches from the shadows, eyes locked on Maya, jealousy burning like a fuse. She doesn't see it, doesn't feel it. Not yet. Maya's no stranger to hard days. She's raised 8 kids on grit and dreams, braiding hair late into the night, juggling jobs, all while chasing a vision of her own daycare. A place for mothers like her. Tonight, though, is about joy, until it isn't. As she steps into the parking lot, fiancé at her side, the mood shifts. Words turn sharp. A voice from the past cuts through the night. Then, gunshots. Maya collapses, blood pooling on the asphalt, her ring glinting in the chaos as screams pierce the air. 8 children left behind, a family shattered, a celebration snuffed out. How did a night of joy turn into a nightmare? The truth waits in the shadows of the Bloom Room, where love met envy, and a single moment changed everything. Maya Jennifer Simmons wasn't just a name in a headline. She was a force of nature, a woman whose love for her 8 children knew no bounds. Picture her in the early morning light, braiding her daughter's hair while helping another with homework, all before the sun had fully risen. Her hands were always moving, always giving, always building something out of nothing. For Maya, motherhood wasn't just a role. It was her entire universe. But her dreams stretched beyond the walls of her modest home. She envisioned a place where mothers like her, women who juggled jobs, bills, and broken promises, could find affordable, quality childcare, a daycare that would bear her name and her heart. She called it Maya's Little Angels, scribbling plans late into the night after the kids were asleep, daring to believe in a future where she could lift others as she lifted her own. Life hadn't been kind to Maya. She'd weathered storms that would break most people, battling the shadow of addiction that haunted her family, scraping by on multiple jobs to keep food on the table, and enduring the unimaginable pain of losing her daughter, Dream. The grief was a wound that never fully healed. But Maya didn't let it define her. Instead, she channeled her pain into strength, her hardships into hope. Her children were her anchor, and her dream of a better future was her guiding star. Her grandmother Jennifer once said, "She was magic with those kids." And indeed, Maya had a way of turning the ordinary into extraordinary. A cardboard box became a castle. A simple bedtime story became an epic adventure. In her hands, love wasn't just felt. It was woven into every moment, making her children feel like the center of the universe. But dreams like Maya's bright, bold, and beautiful, can cast long shadows. They can inspire, but they can also provoke envy in those who watch from the darkness, waiting for a chance to tear them down. As you listen to Maya's story, take a moment to think about your own dreams. What would you sacrifice to protect them? And what happens when someone tries to take them away? The Bloom Room nightclub pulsed with life on the night of July 28, 2023. Neon lights flickered against the walls, and the air hummed with music and laughter. At the center of it all was Maya Jennifer Simmons, radiant in a way that only comes from a moment of pure joy. She had just said yes to the man she loved, a proposal that felt like the beginning of a new chapter. Her engagement ring caught the light as she raised her glass, surrounded by friends who cheered for her happiness. For once, the weight of her struggles seemed to lift. This night was hers, but not everyone in the club was celebrating. In the dim corner near the bar, Kaisha Simmons Birch sat alone, her eyes locked on Maya. Jealousy burned inside her like a slow fuse, growing hotter with every laugh, every toast. She had known Maya's fiancé first, loved him, lost him, and now watched as he slipped away into a future that didn't include her. Her fingers tightened around her glass. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. As the night wore on, the tension began to creep in. Witnesses recall a confrontation near the restrooms, a sharp exchange of words that cut through the music. Kaisha's voice was low but laced with venom as she stepped into Maya's path. "You think this is your happy ending," she hissed. Maya, startled but composed, tried to brush past her. Friends intervened, urging calm, but the air had thickened with unease. "Let it go," one of them whispered to Maya. "She's not worth it." For a moment, it seemed like the storm had passed. The group decided to leave, hoping to salvage what was left of the night. But as they stepped into the parking lot, the warm summer air did nothing to cool the simmering rage that followed them. Kaisha was there, waiting. Her silhouette emerged from between two cars, her face a mask of fury. "You don't get to have him," she spat, her voice trembling with emotion. Maya's fiancé stepped forward, his hands raised in a plea for peace. "This isn't the place," he said, his tone steady but edged with fear. But Kaisha wasn't listening. Her hand slipped into her purse and time seemed to slow. Then, in a horrifying instant, the night shattered. Gunshots rang out, 5 deafening cracks that tore through the air. Screams erupted as Maya crumpled to the ground, her white dress staining red. Her fiancé dropped to his knees beside her, his hands shaking as he pressed against the wounds, begging her to hold on. But the light in her eyes was already fading. In moments, a mother of 8 went from planning her wedding to fighting for her life. The celebration was over. The nightmare had begun. The parking lot of the Bloom Room was a war zone of light and sound. Red and blue strobes slashed through the night, painting the asphalt in frantic pulses as paramedics swarmed Maya Jennifer Simmons. Sirens screamed over the chaos, sharp, relentless, while voices barked commands, radios crackling like gunfire. Maya lay still, her white dress soaked red, the faint gleam of her engagement ring a cruel reminder of the life slipping away. The paramedics fought with surgical precision, hands racing against a clock that wouldn't slow. Her pulse flickered, faint as a whisper, then faded. The damage was done. Inside the hospital, the air was heavy, suffocating. Jennifer Ferguson sat alone in the waiting room, her hands locked in a death grip, knuckles bone white against the grey plastic chair. The clock ticked like a heartbeat, slow, deliberate, mocking. She didn't need the doctor's words. She felt the truth clawing at her chest. But when he stepped through the doors, his eyes hollow with defeat, it crashed over her. Maya was gone. Jennifer's voice broke the silence, a ragged whisper. How do I tell these babies their mama isn't coming home? Tears carved rivers down her face as the weight of 8 orphan children pressed down, their innocent sleep about to shatter. Words spread like wildfire, and the community ignited. A GoFundMe flared to life, dollars trickling in from faceless strangers united by grief. Meal trains rolled out, casseroles stacked on Jennifer's porch, a quiet army of kindness. The church flung its doors wide, a sanctuary for a family adrift in sorrow. It wasn't a fix, nothing could be, but it was a thread, a fragile tether to hope. Pause for a second. Picture it. Your phone buzzing with the call you dread most. The voice on the other end trembling, delivering the blow. Someone you love, gone in an instant. How do you breathe? How do you stand? Maya's story cuts deeper than tragedy. It's a window into the raw, jagged edge of loss, and the hands that reach out to pull you back from it. The Bloom Room parking lot, once a place of celebration, now a crime scene cordoned off with yellow tape. Maya Jennifer Simmons's lifeless body lay on the asphalt, her white dress stained crimson, a haunting testament to the violence that had shattered the night. Detectives combed through the area with forensic precision, collecting shell casings, photographing blood spatter, and securing the murder weapon. A 9mm handgun registered to Keisha Simmons Birch. Witnesses came forward, their accounts painting a chilling picture. One, a bartender at the Bloom Room, recalled seeing Keisha arguing with Maya inside the club, her face contorted with rage. Another patron described the moment Keisha pulled the trigger, her eyes cold and unyielding. With the evidence mounting, the police closed in. As the SWAT team breached her apartment door, Keisha stood in the living room, hands raised in surrender. The look in her eyes was one of resignation, as if she had known this moment was inevitable. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with anticipation. The prosecution laid out their case methodically, presenting forensic evidence, witness testimonies, and damning security footage that captured the shooting in stark detail. But the defense had a different story: self-defense. They claimed Maya had threatened Keisha, forcing her to act in fear for her life. The jury listened intently, their faces betraying no hint of their thoughts. The tension reached a fever pitch when Maya's fiancé took the stand, his voice breaking as he recounted the horror of watching the woman he loved bleed out in his arms. After days of deliberation, the jury returned. The courtroom fell silent as the foreman stood, the word guilty echoing through the chamber like a gunshot. Keisha Simmons Birch was sentenced to 35 years in prison, a small measure of justice for the life she had taken. But as the gavel fell, one question lingered. Do you think justice was served? The courtroom fell silent, the echo of the gavel still hanging in the air. Keisha Simmons Birch was gone, locked away for 35 years. But for Jennifer Ferguson, the nightmare was far from over. In the dim light of her small home, she sat surrounded by unpaid bills, the weight of raising 8 children pressing down like a vice. The laughter of kids playing outside was a cruel reminder of the life they'd lost, Maya's life, their mother. Jennifer's hands trembled as she clutched a photo of her granddaughter, her voice barely a whisper. How do I keep going without her? But even in the darkest corners of grief, a flicker of hope can ignite. Out of the ashes of tragedy, something extraordinary was born. The Maya Jennifer Simmons Foundation, founded by the man who had loved her, the man who had watched her bleed out in his arms. His voice cracked as he spoke of it. She dreamed of helping others. Now, her name does just that. The foundation became a lifeline for families shattered by violence, offering counseling, financial aid, and a community that refused to let them drown in sorrow. One mother, clutching her child, whispered through tears, "They saved us when the world fell apart." And then there was Maya's protocol, a quiet revolution in the fight against obsession turned deadly. Law enforcement officers, trained to spot the warning signs, now carried Maya's legacy into the field. In one tense standoff, an officer's voice cut through the chaos. "We saw the signs early, thanks to her. A life was saved, a tragedy averted. But for every success, the shadow of what could have been loomed large." Maya's fiancé stood alone at her grave, the wind carrying his words. "She was my future. Now, she's a memory, a light that keeps burning through the lives we save." His fingers traced the cold stone, etched with her name. "She'd be proud. But God, I miss her." The fight isn't over. The Maya Jennifer Simmons Foundation needs your help, your donations, your time, your voice. Because somewhere, another family is teetering on the edge of the abyss. Will you let them fall? The dust has settled. Keisha Simmons Birch is behind bars, her life reduced to a cell and a number. Maya Jennifer Simmons is gone. Her laughter, her dreams, her fierce love for her 8 children now just echoes in a home that feels too quiet. But in the wreckage of this tragedy lies a truth we can't ignore. Jealousy, left unchecked, is a spark that can burn lives to ash. Keisha's obsession wasn't born in a vacuum. It grew in the shadows of late-night texts, cryptic posts, and fleeting encounters that should have screamed danger. She followed Maya, watched her, let envy twist into something lethal. The red flags were there: stalking, fixation, a refusal to let go. They're the same signs you might see in a friend, a partner, even yourself. A lingering glance that turns to rage, a comment that cuts too deep. The moment you feel someone's happiness threatens your own. Stop. Look closer. Those are the warnings that could save a life. If you see obsession taking root, whether it's in you or someone else, act. Reach out. Talk to a counselor, a trusted friend, or a hotline. Don't let silence be the accomplice to tragedy. Maya's story teaches us that love shouldn't cost a life, and happiness isn't a zero-sum game. Jennifer Ferguson, her voice raw with grief, said it best. "If one person walks away from a potentially violent situation because they heard Maya's story, then my granddaughter's death wasn't completely in vain." Her words are a call to action, a plea to break the cycle before it claims another soul. This isn't just Maya's story, it's a mirror. What will you do when you see the signs? Subscribe to Unreal Minds, share this video, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Let's raise awareness, spark conversations, and honor Maya by building a world where love doesn't end in loss.
pictures and stuff and memories and stuff because you just never know. And just hours later, she was killed.
Education had always been toward a degree in early childhood education, determined to create a better future for her family. Her notebook was filled with business plans for Maya's Little Angels Daycare, abandoning the family, to losing her job during the pandemic, to the heartbreaking loss of her daughter Dream. Maya faced each obstacle with remarkable